So first I'm going to talk about case presentations and then a little bit about mortality meetings, morbidity and mortality meetings. Now, we give all sorts of case presentations when we have done our MD. Most of the case presentations are done in the ward rounds. But I'm going to talk a little more about case presentations in department meetings, because that's something which you may not have done very often. And here you will be doing it day in and day out. Usually all departments have various patient case presentations once a week, twice a week. And they are really a very important part of what a very important teaching exercise and what you have to really become very good at. So these meetings can be held at the level of the department, but also many larger meetings, national meetings, etc. And by telemedicine, we have to give many times interesting cases, discussions, etc. So, and the way you do these case presentations is different from what you do in the ward round. So there are some points to keep in mind when you do a case presentation. You have to be clear why you are making the presentation. Is it because it's a very interesting patient, or is it because it's a management problem, or there has to be some reason why you decided to pick this case. And just as you read nicely for a seminar, the same way you should read widely and prepare well for the cases also. In the case presentation, it's very important that you stick to the topic. For example, if you have to give a case presentation on a patient with diabetic ketoacidosis, then you have to stick to diabetic ketoacidosis and not go into these are different complications, acute complications of diabetes. This is hypoglycemia, ketoacidosis, hyperosmolar coma. There are many things. You have to stick to the topic because there is a limited amount of time and you are supposed to tell about your patient and then discuss in detail about the particular point which you want to make. And it's very important to keep to the time limit, and also very important to allow for interactions, because these case presentations are more informal than to do seminars. And at every point in time, you will find that either your colleagues and definitely the consultants and other faculty, they will ask a question or they will give a point of view or make a comment as to why you did not do something or why you did something. So it really takes a fair amount of time for interactions. And it is my advice to you that if you have time given for, let us say, an hour to present a case, you should leave at least 20 minutes for interactions, at least 20 minutes. So the next question is that when you have a case presentation, what topic should you choose? And you can choose actually anything that you like. Any topic can be made interesting and it can be presented. For example, you can present an uncommon diagnosis. There may be a new genetic mutation which gives rise to a different type of diabetes. I may want to present that. You may want to present but mostly we try to present some management issues, some unusual presentations of a common illness, or an approach to a treatment, because these are the things which are interesting to a lot of people and are also very useful. So you should take common cases, common illnesses, and find one aspect of the case which that patient exemplifies, and then present that in more detail. For example, you can have a patient who had a um, uh, patient who had a enteric fever, and then he went into shock. And one would like to say that what are the things which present, how did he present, what were the reasons he went into shock, what is the management, what is the prognosis of such patients, is there anything new which you can do for their management, etc. So, uh, so common illnesses and management issues, etc., those are very useful to present in case conferences. And like I mentioned, you should emphasize some aspect of management and not to present a very broad uh, a topic. There's no point to just present enteric fever, diagnosis, symptoms, management, everything. Whatever specific thing that that patient exemplifies, please emphasize on that. And sometimes it's very interesting to present patients with for whom you have a clinical dilemma. Because, for example, right now, for example, we have a patient in our ward who has a renal failure, advanced, and who has an adrenal mass. Now, in most of the time, one would just do his tests, find out whether the patient is secreting any hormone, not secreting, malignant, not malignant, do a biopsy, and straight away go and just remove that mass. But in renal failure, all the blood values are all different from what you might expect because of the renal impairment. And so the metabolite levels are all different. We can't just go in and do a biopsy or do a surgery in a patient whose creatinine is 9 or 8. And so this is a clinical dilemma. And so this is the type of case that you might like to present and which would be of interest to your department or even to a larger bunch of physicians or surgeons. So like I mentioned, your presentation time, depending on whether where you are presenting, it can vary from 15 minutes to almost an hour. And you have to plan the number of slides accordingly. And you have to leave plenty of time for queries and comments in the end, because you can be sure that you will have lots of such answers that you will have to provide. And I'm just giving a general scheme of presentation. You will have an introduction, maybe a short case history, a discussion and a discussion and a review. And in the case presentation, you will have the relevant history. And it is best to maintain a sequence in which the things actually happened in real time, not to bring things back and forth. So you might like to start, for example, by saying that this patient first presented, was being seen in a different hospital. They diagnosed him as having pulmonary tuberculosis. And he was referred here as a case of pulmonary tuberculosis who was not responding to treatment. And then he came here and we found this thing and we found this and we then did this test, something like that. So maintain the sequence in which things happen. Please make the presentation interesting. Put patient photographs, but make sure that you are not identifying the patient as such. Hide his face as much as is proper. Show the radiology, the scans, if histopathology is available. All these should be shown. And then it's very important to provide a differential diagnosis. This is almost the most crucial part of a case presentation. And your reasoning for this differential diagnosis. You will say that this is my first differential and these are my reasons. And less likely is number 2, number 3, number 4. So providing a differential diagnosis is very important and you have to provide a good reasoning for that. Many patients will have follow-up data, and you should try to present follow-up data as charts or tables instead of just presenting on day one, it was like this, and you show a bunch of investigation on day two, on day three. Instead of that, if you present it as a flow chart or if you present it as a table, it is much easier for people to follow. And then you will finally give, after your investigations and the follow-up, you will give your final diagnosis and clinical outcome. Keep the review of literature concise. I've already mentioned that many times. Please keep it focused. This is not a seminar. This is a case presentation. You have to focus on the case. And you should, so when you do this review, what sort of articles should you use? And it is always better to use the most recent articles in journals of the highest impact factor, because that's where the best articles are going to be. Sometimes they are not found free on the net, and then you have to use some ingenuity, ask some consultants, etc., to get you those articles. And don't present articles which are 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old. They are useless now in today's, because so many things have changed. So only the key older articles, they should be presented. And as far as feasible, articles which are more recent and in the highest impact factor journals, they should be presented. If there are studies from India and they are easily available, please present them. And if you like, you can also present recent society guidelines. And please do not only use review articles to do your review of literature. That is just being very lazy, and it doesn't do credit to you. You must take out original articles and you must take out graphs or tables from those original articles and present your review of literature. And like I mentioned, these are interactive sessions. So you can stop your presentation at different points in time while you're doing it and ask questions. And for example, you can stop after the clinical examination and you can stop after the investigations and ask that what is the, if anybody has any questions or they have any comments. And finally, you must end with key messages. You must summarize your case presentation. 3 to 4 key messages in the end are very important. And the common errors are that there are no messages, there is no plan to how you have presented. The slides are of poor quality, and I'm not going to talk about the quality of slides. I think somebody else will be taking that lecture. You don't manage the time properly. Your presentation is too long. There's no time for interactions. You give a review of literature which is not focused, and there are no time for interaction, like I mentioned. So these are common errors and you should try to avoid these. So that's as far as case presentations